Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to get to level 60 or so as fast as possible in Elden Ring. Now to do this we're going to be utilizing a glitch that kills every NPC in the Mohgwyn Palace area, including Mohg, the Lord of Blood. At the end I will also show the most popular ways to farm runes in the Mohgwyn Palace area. For this run you will need to be able to beat Margit the Fell Omen and Godrick the Grafted, but I will be showing an easy way to do this if you're inexperienced with the game. First off, we're going to be creating our character and we're going to pick the Bandit class because it gives us dexterity for the weapon that we're going to be utilizing in this run. As a starting item option, I would recommend the Golden Seed for newcomers as it gives you an additional flash charge, otherwise it doesn't really matter what you pick here. The start goes as it always does: get beaten by the first boss or just yeet off a cliff so that we can get to the lands between properly. Taking the first steps, talk to Varre and extinguish his dialogue. Then run off to the church and from there to the wall where Melina will give you torrents. If you want to use spirit summons during this playthrough, double back to the church, wait for nightfall and then get the spirit calling bell. Now we're going to pick up Reduvia, the weapon that we're going to be using in this beginning section. To do this we're going to run from the wall to this valley nearby. Here we are going to be invaded, but we'll have help in this fight from Yura. Just strafe around the invader and allow Yura to do his thing. If you're feeling bored, go for backstabs or bleed damage with the dagger that we have. After we beat the invader, we will get Reduvia, which we already have the stats for due to picking the bandit class at the beginning of the game. Talk to Yura if you want to progress his questline later in the playthrough. For the Margit fight, we're going to follow the path past the wall. I'd recommend here spending all the runes you've accumulated thus far on dexterity to boost Reduvia's damage. You can just respec everything later in the game anyway if you want to do a different build. I would suggest summoning Roger for this fight, and at this point you're going to have to use a bit of skill as well. Try to stay far from Margit, spam L2 as in the Reduvia Blood Blade, which will proc bleed on Margit and take a huge chunk of their health. When Margit is distracted by Rogier, go for heavy R2s as they will consistently stagger Margit, giving you a chance to once again cause heavy damage. Apart from that, there really isn't anything else to say here, except to watch some movement guides if you're struggling. The Reduvia should make this fight manageable, but yeah, once again, this requires some skill at least. Going into Stormveil, we're going to first talk to Godrick and have him open the gate for us. Then we're going to run in, dodge the arrows and get the grace located here. Feel free to game end Godrick here as well because he will be stealing runes every time you die. Make your way to the next grace by climbing up this rampart, jumping off and running to it. The next step is to just run through the castle dodging these attacks as I do here. If this feels a bit difficult to do, you can also try to go through the castle in the more traditional way with Reduvia. It might be a bit easier, but it will take more time. Next, we're going to find Nefeli and go through her dialogue. This is important because we want to summon her for the next fight. Run past the giants and grab the grace next to the boss room. Before heading in, summon Nefeli to the fight. Just like with Margit, this fight is going to acquire some level of skill to get past, but it shouldn't be too difficult with Reduvia and Nefeli at our help. Keep a safe distance from Godrick, watch for his punish windows, dodge the wind torrents and the earthquakes. Remember to roll into his jump attack and massively punish his second phase beginning by running past the dragonfire. There are better guides for this fight specifically, but just remember that you have one of the most broken weapons in the game. It really shouldn't be that difficult. After we're done with that fight, we're going to move towards Liurnia. Exit the castle from the back entrance. Grab a grace here, talk to Melania, go to Round Table Hold. At the Round Table Hold, speak to the Finger Crone and go through her dialogue. This has to be done for the next phase of the run. After you've done that, return to Liurnia, grab the mag fragments and make your way to the Rose Church. There you will meet Varre again. Tell him that the two fingers were a bit sus and he will give you 5 festering bloody fingers. We will need to invade other players 3 times. Remember that we don't actually have to defeat anyone, we just have to get game ended one way or another. Feel free to yeet off a cliff again during this step. Having done that 3 times, Varre will give us our next task, soaking the Lord of Blood's favor in Maiden's blood. First we're going to head to the Bellum Church. I recommend grabbing the Sacred Tier here and upgrading your flask. From here we're going to head to the Frenzied Village. Wear a helmet for the Sauron looking tower thing to not get frenzied. Going up this hill, we're going to get invaded by Vaik, but as long as you reach the Grace before he game ends you, it won't matter. Get the Maiden's Blood from the corpse next to the Grace, then go back to Varre at the Rose Church. Offer him your finger. He will give you the Pure Blood Knight's medal, which we can immediately use to get to Mohgwyn Palace. Grab the mag fragments here and grace up the stairs. Before we do the glitch here, it should be noted that if you want the white mask, which is a quintessential part of a bleed build, you need to get it now. You cannot get it after Mohg has been defeated. So if you're not going to do a bleed build, feel free to skip this next section. First off, we're going to head in this direction, dodging all enemies. Remember, we are severely underleveled for this section of the game. The idea here is to reach the cliffside 3 times and get invaded by Varre. We have no chance against him one-on-one, so we're going to bait him to this cliffside and jump off at this specific point. If done correctly, he will follow us and get game ended as a result. You have to do this 3 times and then you will get the white mask. From the Grace at the top of the stairs, we're going to follow this path. Dodge all the enemies on your way and find the Grace at this cliffside. From here, we're going to go further up to the elevator, take it to the top and enter Mohg's boss room. As soon as the fight starts, we will quit the game and then click continue. This will spawn us outside the boss room while Mohg is still active. Go back to the location of the Grace and next to the cliffside, find this texture. Jump a bit further down the cliff. From here we need to make a big jump that is a bit difficult, so run from the back and try to align yourself with the wall. If you fail here, just respawn at the Grace, activate Mohg, and make a second attempt. Afterwards, you need to follow this path using torrents as I show here. When you reach this gap in the cliffside, drop down to it as I show here. The most important thing here is to keep spamming R1. If you can't do that, then you fell in the wrong angle and you will have to activate Mohg again and do the whole thing again. If you can't do that, then you fell in the wrong angle and you will have to do all of this again. After you spammed R1 for 30 seconds or so, the runes will start coming in. If you killed Varre, you should also get Blood Tax and Ash of War. After the runes stop coming in for 20 seconds, open the map and spawn again in the round table hold. You now have over 500,000 runes, which you can use to level up to 60. You also have Reduvia, White Mask, and if you want it, Mohgwyn's Sacred Spear, one of the most broken weapons in the game. And if that's not enough, here's how you can get even more runes. Go back to Mohgwyn Palace and take this route. From this bonfire you can snap the giant bird on the other side of the ridge. The bird will get aggroed and run off the cliff, providing 10k runes. You can spam this easily and get 100k in mere minutes. At the middle point of the game you can also use AoE spells and skills to farm these frog creatures, which give off even more runes. The two weapons that I use here are the Blasphemous Blade, which you can get from Rykard, and the Sacred Relic Sword, which you can get from the final boss. This can be useful if you're struggling with Malenia or want to level up for the DLC. Okay, that's all from me. Hopefully you found this guide useful. Don't subscribe to the channel because I'm never going to do this again. Anyway, have a nice day.